YouTube, Mike here again, and today I want to talk about the 2016 MacBook Pro with Touch Bar, and this is the 13-inch variant. If you're a fan of my channel or if you watched videos before, you know I've tested the 15-inch variant of this, and this is essentially going to be very similar to it. But let's get to it. So, first thing, really, obviously, build quality. Really no change from the 15-inch variant. This thing is just beautifully built. I mean, I don't know that you could really find another laptop that's quite as, I guess, good looking and just the quality of this. Honestly, a solid piece of aluminum. I mean, you love or hate Apple, you can't fault the hardware, but really no change from the 15-inch. You still got your 4 type USB-C ports on this, which honestly, having used either the 15-inch 2016 with Touch Bar or this one for the last month, I've been using it, and it really does not bother me at all. Actually, I'm starting to like the USB Type-Cs just because of the versatility to it. I love being able to charge this with any external battery pack. I mean, it works well, it trickle charges, and it's good to go. It just really, it works like it should. So honestly, I haven't had any issues with that whatsoever. And the SD card slot thing, that kind of bugged me at first with the 15-inch, but I really came to realize that I rarely use it because I'll use either a reader, then plug it in, or I'll plug my camera directly into my computer. And I already got a dongle, so I'm good there. So really one dongle is all I personally need. So for me, the ports have actually not been an issue. But the reason I actually switched to this over the 15-inch is ultimately the price. Now, if you buy this brand new from Apple or Best Buy or wherever, it's basically going to be $1,800 for this. So this is the i5, 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gigabytes of storage. So with the Touch Bar, this is the base model. Now the next step up is everything's the same except it's a 512 gigabytes of storage. But the biggest reason I switched to this is the price. Now I was lucky on this. I didn't have to pay retail. If you pay $1,800 for this, then I think it's way too much and honestly not worth it. So I would recommend you go either to apple.com and look in the refurbished section because these are in there now. Shop Amazon, or what I did, I went to Best Buy. My local Best Buy, almost once a week I go in there and I check their return stuff. And this happened to be in there. So I got this for over $350 off of retail. So I paid around $1,400 for this, which is still, yes, a lot of money, but it's not as terrible if you look at what you're getting as far as the build quality and stuff. So, I'd still like it to be a little less, but I felt pretty good about it just because I saved about $350. So would I pay retail for this? Absolutely not. But I have to say, I'm really enjoying this. The battery life so far has been about the same as the 15-inch model. Really a good solid 8 hours. I think even though Apple will say 10, really not the case. But I've been getting them about 8 hours. I've really had no issue with battery. And again, like I said, with the USB Type-C, in my little tech bag, I have a fairly large power bank that I carry in my bag. So if I do need to juice this up, I could just plug it in, plug it right into the USB-C, and get the power that I need. So honestly, battery life is pretty good. I have not had an issue with it at all. And one of my favorite features of this actually has been the ability to unlock it with my Apple Watch. Now, if you've got a newer generation, even a MacBook Air, you can do that, but that's honestly been one of my favorite features. Like, this has got Touch ID, but I really don't use it because when I open my computer up, you'll see it unlocks with my Apple Watch, and there it is. I don't have to do anything. So that's one of the features I really like about Apple lately. But again, I do video editing for this channel. Obviously, I shoot all my video in 4K for the most part. I've been kind of playing around with 1080p, 60 frames a second, but this video is in 1080p. My last couple videos this one's in 4K. My last couple have been 4K, and I edited them on this machine. So that was kind of my worry going from the 15-inch to the 13-inch was the ability to edit 4K video. Now, I'm using Final Cut Pro, which I love. because I'm coming from Premiere Pro, and again, Premiere Pro, you can still do a lot more stuff, but for my personal needs, I'm never going to use 90% of it. But to me, Final Cut Pro it's a lot more of a simpler interface, to be honest with you, and just the efficiency. Final Cut Pro is constantly rendering the video in the background, whereas Adobe Premiere Pro, it doesn't do it till the end. So you got longer export times. But with this, editing 4K video, like I said, this is the base model. Scrubbing within the timeline has been smooth as butter. And I'll try and see if I can throw some B-roll showing that. If not, oh well, I'm just telling you that it works. But scrubbing in the timeline, I have not noticed any lag whatsoever. And I'm shooting again with a Lumix G7 4K video at 30 frames per second. And the timeline within Final Cut Pro on this thing is butter. Now, I will tell you with the 15-inch, the background rendering, because if you've got a quad-core i7 and you've got dedicated graphics, the background rendering is way faster on the 15-inch model, so that translates to faster exports. So honestly, I can tell you that the 15-inch model that is twice as fast. So obviously, if you're running a business and time is money, then you're going to want to go with the 15-inch model. But if you're just like me, this is a hobby, editing videos. I usually only edit maybe once, twice a week as far as videos, and this is just fine. Like I said, working within the timeline, smooth as butter, no matter how many layers, transitions I use, no issues. And the export time is not terrible. So for instance, if I have a 10-minute 4K video, if I let it render in the background to 100% and then I do my export, it's really only going to take me about 15 minutes max to export a 10-minute 4K video. Now, if I edit it really fast, so if you're really fast at editing and it doesn't have time to render all the way, when you do your export, that time is going to be added on there. So then it might take you 30 minutes to do a 10-minute 4K video. But again, you can always do something else. So if you're not in a time crunch, watch TV, do whatever, or surf the internet, watch YouTube videos, it'll eventually get done. And it's not terrible. So to be honest with you, it is very usable, no issue with it. But again, if you're doing 20, 30-minute 4K videos, then obviously you're going to want the 15-inch model. But my videos are usually only about 10 minutes max, and this honestly is perfect for it if you're using Final Cut Pro. Like I said, with the 15-inch video, if you're using Premiere Pro, don't buy a Mac, get a PC, to be honest with you. But I have to say, though, that I'm really loving this. And the other reason I went with this, besides the money, was the form factor. I love how compact, how light, how thin this thing is. I mean, it really is a piece of art, to be honest with you. But this fits in my little tech bag that I use and no issues. It's light. I carry it with me everywhere I go, as far as when I go to work, if I go to the coffee shop. And I'm starting a class soon, and I plan on using this as my primary machine for that. So I really have nothing but good things to say about this. So my only caveat, like I said, is do not pay retail. So unless you just got money to burn, I mean, it's not worth $1,800. I'll tell you straight up. But if you can save a couple $100, in my case, I saved $350, then it is totally worth it. I would recommend it. Now, obviously, Microsoft is coming out with the Surface laptop, which is kind of comparable depending on what specs you get. I mean, this is way more expensive if you pay retail, to be honest with you, for the same specs in the upcoming Surface laptop. But again, the reason that I'm went with this is because I love Final Cut Pro 10. I mean, I've really fell in love with that editing program, and I just like the Apple ecosystem. So with that, I mean, like I said, if you guys have any questions on this computer or even the 15-inch one, shoot it in the comments below. But like I said, overall, I got to say, if you don't pay retail, that this is definitely a buy. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you've not subscribed, please go ahead and do so.